Hello, welcome back to a new video. My name is Daniel Okloen and I'm here to show you I wouldn't say new because it's already a year old. Sorry, product from Sony. And I put the box here because some of the Sony products names are quite difficult. So this is called the HVL-F60 for the power level, RM for remote number 2. And it's the most powerful flash that they sell. This has already been out for a year and the RM1 is 9 years old, but even given its age, you don't see many reviews about these units. I think partly this has to do because they are quite expensive and you can make a whole argument about the value of them. Because, well, more expensive means less value in a way if the features are not that needed for everybody. But as a result, I found before I bought this one that I could not find too many YouTube videos about it, and I was missing some information that I now know, and I figured it was nice to share it, because if you are willing to invest more money into a flash, then you most likely want to see more YouTube videos around it. So I'm assuming this video will be seen by people who want to buy this flash but want to know more of the details. So it won't be a complete video. In fact, I'm pretty sure you're better off watching another video about flash in general or flash with Sony in particular. Mark Gaylor comes to mind to how to use these flashes. For me, it was just okay, nobody is showing this or nobody is showing that, and I will show that one so that you have a more complete picture of about this product. So I'm also going to do it in reverse, because it's the third time I'm making this video. I always record live, and the first two times something went bad. So I'm doing it in reverse because it also means I can show the most important features first. So for me, one of the most important features was, and the reason I got it, because it has a full integration with the camera. In this case, I'm using a Sony A1. I'm quite lucky in that way that I own that camera. And I wanted to see how the integration with the camera was, especially the menu system. So let's turn it on. Oh, it's already on, but so there's a button here. I turn it on. And let's also turn the camera on. And the first thing I want to show you is directly dive deep in is the integration that everything you can do on the flash unit itself, you can also do inside the camera. Now I programmed a button for that, and I will first show you that and then again move backwards. I put it on this button over here, which is the middle button. If I press it, it will go directly into the mode that you can use the dials, of course. So like this, to move around and set all the features live. So let me give you an example. Let's say you want to go to multi-flash firing. You can see you can set all the settings here, including the power level. But if you, for example, want to go to full manual, of course you see in the lower part, you can see how much power you want to give to the flash. So if I want to have it on full power, of course I can use the buttons like this, but the nice thing is that they also support direct control. And what I mean with that is you can either use the touchscreen directly for all the buttons, so the side buttons, or even make a slide like this, but you can also use the dials. So for example, I can use the back dial and you can see it sort of moving around also. So the really nice thing is that if you're using it while you're shooting, even if you have it up to your eye, if I go out of this mode, so I go back into normal shooting, right? Again, I'm using a button to always go out of the menu. So if you go in any menu and you click, you're out of it again. I am now shooting. I was in high speed mode still. So let's go to single shooting. You can see it does one flash at full power. But if I go 1/16 power. But if I go like here and select it, you can see quite easily I can move it about to full power, right? And I don't even have to go out of the menu. I can directly sort of shoot right away. Again, if I go like this, it remembers where it was, right? So I can directly click and move it to another one. In my opinion, it can be done better. I'm not sure if you see it, but you see that the flash was way less than before. Now this is quite nice because also here you can use the touchscreen. So you can of course use this one, but I find especially if you have it up to your eye or you're using it with the screen, that being able to touch all the features So in this case, turning HS control on, go to different memory settings, turning it back off again. You can see it's all very smooth. Going to the zoom, and again you can use the dials to move around, and I'm guessing even the front dial, yes. So you can see that you can do the direct control features, which I think are really nice. So that was one of the first features I want to show you. This is not just for the, let's say, the features that you need live, but it also is the way in the menu. So if you go in the menu, it's under exposure, which kind of makes sense, then flash. And you can see if you go to external flash, there's the menu I just showed you. So this one is the other one. So let me go back. So this one I just showed you, I programmed that one under the button because I think it makes sense to be able to quickly get it. I put it on the middle button, and the other one is your setup. And you can set all the things and also put them in the memory, which is kind of nice. But you can set all the settings. So let me do a weird example. Let's say the test button. So normally if you press the test button, it will give you one flash, I'm hoping. There it goes, one flash. But I can also go in here and say, well, I want you to do flash for 4 seconds. No idea why they built this in, but now if I press it, you can see it goes really quickly. I'm not sure how this will look on video. Well, for 4 seconds. Yeah. Not sure if it's handy, but you did notice how quickly this flash actually is able to fire and how stable it is to fire. So let's go into an example. So if I go into high speed mode, I still left it on auto. So we're going to try to take 30 frames a second and see if that works. You can't really see it on the video because of the mismatch in the frame rates. But if we go into the session we just recorded, we took 38 pictures, and I'm guessing if we go through them, they're all nicely exposed, at least within the settings. So yeah, extremely quick. So that's one really nice feature of it. So I was going backwards in this review, so let's move backwards. So that's the integration with the camera. Has a lot more features, but this is the basic sort of setup, which I think is quite nice, especially because it also works within the EVF, on the touchscreen and with the direct controls. So you don't have to use this part. Some of the lower models actually have less displays and buttons, or no buttons. I would not mind if they release this one without all the buttons and just do it on the camera itself, but that's not what they did. So second thing I wanted to show, because I was missing it in the reviews, is how the rotation system works. So like all of these flashes, you can make it go up. Let me zoom out a tiny bit. If we can maybe go a bit up. Like always, this is messy, this is me. So we can see it a bit better. You can see, of course, you can make it go up. One nice thing is it goes back quite far. And this is nice if, for example, you're taking pictures of something low, then you can still aim it quite easily to the roof. But the weird thing about this flash, if we go put it back, is that you can't turn it like this, so to flash to the side. The way that Sony have solved this is that you can rotate the whole flash like this. So if you're shooting it like this, or like this if you want, that's kind of a nice solution, but it also gives you a way to shoot to the side, of course, because now you can turn it like this, or even then go back quite far. So it does give you 360 degrees of movement. It just is a little bit, let's say, different. So I want to show that because I found it a little bit unclear in some of the reviews. I think it actually works quite nice, and it kind of leads to the next point, especially if you do it like this, right? So on a portrait sort of way. Oh, it was still on 30 frames a second, but you can see it works quite nicely and it's very stable. One thing which I think is nice is that well, nice is the wrong word. You notice that I kind of have to manhandle this flash, right? It's not like a extremely smooth way of doing it. It's clunky, but feels stable. I'm sorry that I keep repeating this word, but that's what it feels like. And it tells me something about the construction. The first version, the RM1, the first reviews that I could find were about 9 years old, and it has the same design. So we know that this has been used for quite a while, and it turns out to be quite solid. And one extra hint that you see here is that the way that they've integrated this mount. So let me take it off and show you. So you unlock it, which more flash brands do. But if you look at the bottom of this, let me put the camera aside a bit, you can see that this is fully metal. And even if you look inside, which is probably difficult, so let me try to zoom in. You can maybe just see that internally, if you go look into behind the water protection, it also, you see the metal really going in. So that's really nice. It's a full metal construction, and it looks very stable on the camera. The other thing that you notice is that, and I was not sure about that, you see that there's totally a gasket here. It's quite a thick gasket, and it goes all the way around. And unlike most flashes, this actually claims to be water resistant. Keep in mind how they're using the term, but this is fully metal on most of the Sony cameras, but they have these connection pins inside there. You have to be careful with them, not that they break if they have got water in them, but they will confuse your camera. So if you slide it in, let me try to show that on camera. If you slide it in, you can already see that this gasket really fits quite well. So the moment that I lock it in, you can see it really come down and lock the whole mount with the flash in a watertight sort of way. And again, this shows you kind of the quality, how they resolve this. And I'm pretty sure it's quite good. If you need to have a little splash of rain on there, it probably won't kill your flash. I think that's a whole stability part. Keep in mind, I am totally convinced, the same as with the mount, they are quite strong, but if you drop it, then they have to at some point decide what they prefer to break, right? So with the mount, they always try to let it break on the lens part because it's cheaper to fix. I'm also pretty sure that if it decides to break off, it will probably happen somewhere in here, so that you can remove the lower part and replace it, and it doesn't break your hot shoe, which is more expensive to fix. So don't drop it, because that's not the idea, but I do think it's more sturdy than most flashes out there. Then the third thing I want to talk about before we finish is some of the stuff that comes with it. So let me zoom out again, because I found that was not much information. First, the ports. So of course the battery part, everybody has shown it has 4. On the other side it has 4 different 4 AA batteries. But here you find a USB port. Under here you find a flashing port, and under here you find a battery port. So there are 3 ports on there. They have really nice flaps. I find them nice because they kind of click in a nice way, and again, that probably has to do with the water sealing. So I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, it works quite well. The thing that confused me a bit is it comes with this nice sort of protective bag. In the bag they provide you with the feet that you can put it in if you want to. If you want to put it down, because it also of course is a wireless commander, so you can do it off camera, and you of course have to have a commander or another flash that supports it. It doesn't support it directly from the camera, which I find a pity. No brand has done that so far, at least as far as I know. But you can see there's 3 holes in here, and I was wondering why is that. So deep positions there you can put it in, but it has to do of course with this to the side sort of mechanism, so that it keeps let me put that back again, so it keeps quite stable even if you put it on the left, if you're turning it that way. So it comes with that part, but it also comes with the different hoods on there, on filters on there, and that's found a bit confusing again, and I'm not sure why they are doing this, because they have 2 different ways of attaching. So it comes with 2 different color filters. You won't see it because of the green screen, but if I put it in here, a green and an orange one, and let me take the orange one. These click on up from the top, so you can very nice, very smooth and nice way. And if you take them from the bottom, it's quite easy to take them off again. I'm now not sitting straight to the camera, so normally if it's in your hand it's even easier, but you can see quite easy to take off. So I was quite surprised that the normal one, so your normal diffuser, actually doesn't work the same way. So you have to slide it from the side. There are two slits over here. You kind of have to slide it from the side, click it in, and then take it off. You kind of want to do the same thing. I take it off like this, but it doesn't work because you have to kind of take it off from the side. Let me show you again. So take it from the side. I'm pretty sure you get used to it, but I don't understand why they have two different mechanisms, because especially if you're in a hurry and you forgot which one you have on, you might sort of pull it in a way that I think, yeah, it's unnecessary. Of course, it also has a built-in diffuser here and a white flap that you can use. Yeah, kind of the normal features. I would really advise you to look at other reviews which shows you more complete how to set it up and how to set the different features from it, because it's supposed to kind of fun. Let me show you one just for the fun of it, because I'm not sure if others have shown it. But one nice feature is that you can have multiple flashes in one exposure. So if you go into the menu, you see one of the options. I will zoom in a tiny bit so you can see both of it. One of the options that you can pick is Multiflash. And on Multiflash, what it does, if you have a long exposure, let's say you have a night shot, but you want to have somebody move into the, or something, move through the frame and flash it multiple times. So let's say you have an exposure of 2 seconds, but you want to have multiple exposures on the subject. You can actually do that. You can put it on multi-exposure, and then say, I want you to flash 10 times a second, and for 2 seconds, for example, or even for longer. Of course, if you have a 2-second exposure, it doesn't make sense to put it on 40 different flashes because it will never reach it. And you can put it on continuous, it will just keep going as long as it has the power. So for example, if I put it on 20, so I've now put it on 10 hertz, 20 times flashing on 1/8 of the power. Again, you can directly control it, right? You can do this and then sort of control it. You can already see that I can't go to full power, which makes sense because it knows it needs to flash 10 times a second. But you can see you have this direct control, and a nice thing about this feature, that if I take a picture for 2 seconds, which I can't do because I didn't put it in, well, I can do it, I guess. Put it in long exposure, in shutter mode. Let me dial down my exposure to 2 seconds. Now I didn't test it, but it should now fire 10 times a second, and basically if something is moving, expose it multiple times, which gives you an interesting effect. I could move the camera a bit and see if it does it here. Let's randomly go for it in the end of this video. It kind of did, so let's see what we got. Of course, it's totally weirdly exposed because I didn't set the exposure correctly, but if you go into this, oh, you can already see it, but you can see that there's a weird exposure. So let me do it one more time, but then give it way less power and see what happens. Again, notice I'm using the direct control, right? I'm using the screen, not the flash itself, and I got out of the menu by pressing this button. So let me do it one more time. Ooh. Probably going to be quite messy, but you can see indeed a little bit more already the subject sort of moving around in my frame. So you can play around with that. It's an interesting feature that you can use if you want to, but it does show you the flexibility of this flash. I think there's a reason why this is considered within the Sony range their best flash. But I kind of like the way that it integrates, and it also does that on all the other RM models. They are now coming out with a new line RM2. I'm not sure when they're all done. I think 2 of the 5 are now on the RM revision 2 lineup, but all of them support it and they can all hook them together. Yeah, I want to show you this integration with the Sony cameras and the Sony flashes and show you some of the features that other reviews might not have shown you. Again, this is already a 20-minute video. Like always, I make long videos. But if you're interested in this flash and you wanted to buy it, you might like this video to get you some of the extra information that others have not shown you or have not talked about. So thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye bye.